All right. So CES 2022 is going now, and Arcade1Up dropped some new cabs on their website. And, I know a lot of people have gone over these already. I've watched a bunch of videos. And I wasn't going to make one just because this isn't really what I do. But hey, I've been wanting to get into influencing a little bit. I pretty much stuck to tutorial videos. But, for this one, I wanted to kind of bring out some thoughts. If you haven't seen it already, it's basically 3 new legacy cabs, and the Pro line is being announced, and we'll go over that here. So I have the website, and I just kind of wanted to take a look at these new cabs that dropped. The first one we'll look at is the Atari Legacy Arcade Machine, the Centipede edition. And this thing, when I first saw it, I'll be honest, I was never the biggest Centipede fan. I played it quite a bit when I was a kid. But most of mine would have been any console ports. I don't even remember if I ever actually played this in the arcade. I believe mine would have been Atari. But this thing is amazing looking. And I did watch one video where someone mentioned this, but this seems to be in almost all of their pictures. I mean, I've only purchased my first Arcade1Ups a few months ago. But I've been following Arcade1Up for a long time, and this is something that's always stuck out to me is why do they do this to themselves? Why do they get tall people to play their arcade machine for promotional pictures? Get shorter people, get them playing on a stool, something. But doing this, I just don't get it, and now I'm rubbing my cursor over his butt. Don't pay any attention to that. But this cab is beautiful. If we take a look at the original Centipede arcade cabinet, let's just kind of see if we can do a comparison here. So we did get the cab a couple years ago that did justice to it, but this one even more so. Check out how the marquee comes out there. The control deck. You get the volcano buttons. And I know I said I was going to do a side-by-side, but stop. I then got here. So again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know too much about this cab because I don't, and I'm having trouble figuring this out. And actually, I just realized you guys probably can't. Yeah, you can't see that. All right, but they did a really good job on the aesthetics. It's cool to see the light up buttons here, the light up marquee. If you go down here to the specifications, you find out that it's got 14 games on it. Centipede, Millipede, Asteroids, Asteroids Deluxe, Major Havoc, Missile Command, Crystal Castles, Tempest, Gravitar Liberator, Space Duel, Super Breakout, and Lunar Lander. The only game there that I've played, several hours of in my life is Super Breakout. I've loved Breakout, since I was a kid. But again, there's not much on this cab that makes it exciting for me, but the artwork alone has me excited. I feel like they nailed it here. Knocked it out of the park with this one. And then, form factor that emulates the original one. Wi-Fi leaderboards. The Tempest cab didn't have that, so that's going to be new for these games. The Real Feel Arcade controls, I'm sure that's debatable. Light up 1-player and 2-player volcano buttons, just a nice little touch. Custom riser, been loving that on the new cabs. The light up marquee, kind of nothing new there. And then this is what's interesting, because I'm assuming these cabs are going to come in at the, I'm guessing the $550 to $600 US price point. I'd be surprised if they come out at $500. But it's nice to see. And for 14 games, I'm okay with that. I think, $550 for a 14 game cabinet, especially with online play or at least the leaderboards, is awesome. But the one nice thing that I've noticed with all these cabinets is the molded coin door seems to be the new normal. Now I'm sure the Walmart editions may still have a sticker, but who knows? Maybe even they'll get the molded coin door. But I'm just excited because, when I saw that sticker, I was like, why? It's almost like you want to make this thing look as cheap as possible. So when I got the X-Men cab and saw the molded coin door, Actually, I'll be honest, that was kind of a huge selling point for me on the X-Men cab. I was going to buy the X-Men cab, and then I wasn't going to buy the X-Men cab because of the price point. But then when I saw how well it was done from an aesthetic standpoint, it was actually a huge selling point for me because it is a piece of art. Yeah, I love being able to go in and play 4-player X-Men with people online. But if it didn't have the Wi-Fi, as much as like that was the cab for me, I would have been okay without it because it doesn't have a ton of replay value. You're going to get sick of that game. It's not $750 worth of gameplay for me. But the aesthetics, the having it be a piece of art, that was part of it. And the molded coin door was, a selling point there. So I'm glad to see that's the new normal. And 14 games, and then, standard, the 17-inch screen, and what you normally get with Arcade1Up. So that's the Atari cabinet. I'm not going to I'll quickly touch on this. I mean, there have been plenty of Pac-Man cabs. I personally would like to get a Pac-Man cab. This may be the one. I don't have one yet. But, the artwork's cool. I haven't actually looked at, what an original Pac-Mania cab looks like. Just to see, the comparison. Okay. So there's that. Okay, marquee looks pretty good. Let me see the control deck here, if they kind of emulated that pretty well. Yeah, looks like they did a good job there. So again, really paid attention to details on here, and that's what's awesome about these cabs. If anything, I've always viewed Arcade1Up as art. Playing licensed games is great, but there are enough people out there who are, fine with playing ROMs that they've obtained through different sources that I always have a hard time, seeing the value in Arcade1Ups from a large standpoint. Not saying personally I don't see the value, but, knowing that many people are okay with this, I've always wondered, how they were going to be able to survive. And their main way, in my opinion, of doing that is bringing back the nostalgia. And a huge part of that nostalgia is the look of the cab. Multi-cade, you're not going to get that with unless you skin it yourself or they choose, one design to go with. And these Arcade1Ups are becoming multi-cades, which is really cool, in my opinion, because I do feel like 1 or 2 games is tough to justify, especially these new price points. Sorry, I want to make sure I was recording. But so this is yeah. So we'll see the games it has on here. It's pretty much the standard, games that you're going to expect from a Pac-Man, legacy cab. Pac-Mania, obviously. Pac-Man, Pac-and-Pal, Super Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, Pac-Land, Galaga, Galaxy and Galaga 88, Mappy, Dig Dug 2, Rompers, and Rolling Thunder. So, if you like Pac-Man, here's another cab for you to pick up if you haven't already picked up one. This is going to have Wi-Fi leaderboards, custom riser, light-up marquee, and yet again, molded coin door. So, that's my least favorite of the 3 cabs, the legacy cabs that were announced. But that takes us to the Mortal Kombat cabinet. And I'll be honest, Mortal Kombat, my introduction to Mortal Kombat was actually the movie. Street Fighter was about as violent as it got, in my house. So it wasn't until later that I actually discovered playing the games. But, it's not like I was playing these in the arcade. So I'm not going to, pretend that I played these on consoles as a kid, that I played them in arcades. But I was huge into the lore, comic books, the movies, the cartoons. Those were a big part of, my teen years. And I think part of it was because I knew I couldn't play the video game, but these other mediums kind of kept it at a PG-13, PG level that I was allowed to. And so I felt like I was flirting with danger. So I've always been into the Mortal Kombat lore. And still to this day, I suck at fighting games. I love to play them. I love the lore in just about all of them. Talking about the big ones like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. But, I've been putting off getting one because, again, it wasn't something that was huge part of my childhood. But when I saw this come out, I said I'm thankful that I haven't bought one yet, because if I'm going to get one, and by the way, Mortal Kombat is tame by today's standards, so I no longer, feel like there's any qualms with it, because this is like a teen game now. But I mean, obviously the newest iterations in Mortal Kombat are not, but this is. And so when I looked at this thing, I said, wow. I mean, this is a work of art. It's beautiful. And just go, you gotta kind of just stare at it in awe at like how awesome it is. Even the control deck, I mean, yes. This will probably be the Mortal Kombat cabinet that I actually own. So some things I really love about this are, again, this is a legacy cabinet. We'll go over the games. I think it might be the same games that were on the last legacy cabinet. But I like how they recessed the marquee here. So now you won't have a problem being able to see. Check out the control deck. This is awesome. It's only another maybe inch and a half of control deck space, but that can be huge. And so I was really happy to see this right here. The one thing that I was kind of, surprised to see, and again, I don't have a cab, so I haven't yet played this to know like it's an issue. But I've heard enough about the ridges on the side being a problem with the last legacy cabinet that I was surprised. And it's not, such a big deal on the big arcade cabinet because there's plenty of space. And who knows, maybe with, the control deck being an inch and a half wider, it will be like now there's enough that you don't have to be resting over there. I don't think so. I don't think it's that much space. But I'm surprised it looks like they kept the ridge here. So if you're playing and, you're resting your hand down here, you're still going to have that, jutting up in there. So I was surprised with how much backlash there was on that they didn't get rid of it. But yeah, so that's it. But this cabinet's going to be huge. I mean, this is like the new, I'll say Big Blue. I mean, this really, obviously it's not as tall as Big Blue. It's your normal 3/4 height. Normal 3/4 scale, Arcade1Up normal height. But this is a pretty epic cabinet. The game list is, again, I believe the same game list, but if they're adding leaderboards and some sort of online play, which they did with Big Blue, there was a lot of online play there with the different titles, and then of course, leaderboards being built in. So you're getting Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate MK3, Standard Run, Tubin, Rampage, awesome, Joust, Wizard of Woz. I'm curious. I saw something on this earlier. I'm probably going to look like an idiot here because I don't know what this is. And I'm assuming... Okay, well, now I'm just going to weird stuff. All right, whatever. I'm assuming that's a typo, but I don't really know the game, so I don't 100% know. Sorry. Root Beer Tapper, because you can't have real Tapper. Defender, Bubbles, Paperboy, and Clack. So, this has a lot of games that, would be interested in, the 4 runs of Mortal Kombat just to have them, just to play them. And then Rampage, Joust, Gauntlet, Defender, Paperboy, and Root Beer Tapper. Did I say Rampage? I believe I did. So, all great games. And if they have leaderboards, that's going to be awesome. And then with the Mortal Kombats, to be able to play those online, that's just going to be huge. So I'm really looking forward to this cabinet. The Wi-Fi play, again, custom riser, light up marquee, molded coin door. So glad to see, sorry, the molded coin door was normal for all 3 of these cabs. All right, so that's the legacy cabs. Let's go to the, the Pro Series edition of Killer Instinct. And this, when I first heard Arcade1Up was going to do a Pro line, I kind of had to do a little chuckle because to me, Arcade1Up and Pro in the same sentence don't mix. Arcade1Up has come a long way from being toy arcades to being, decent machines to have around. And we've seen the price point go up with them. But the fact of the matter is, Arcade1Up has always been more of a licensing type company. They're going out getting deals, coming up with the cabinets. But at the end of the day, it's not like they have, I don't want to say a love for arcades because I don't know enough about them. But it's not like they're really, that hands-on with the manufacturing process. The specs get shipped and, they get manufactured. And so when I think of Pro, I'm thinking of a machine that love went into. I'm thinking, these not, I don't want to say smaller outfits, but these outfits that make arcade machines and put, everything's done by hand. That's what I think of when I think Pro. A lot of thought goes into controls, a lot of thought goes into just about everything. And I just don't trust Arcade1Up to do that. I trust Arcade1Up to listen to other people, but I also trust them to listen to other people and pay more attention to the people that say, well, this would be great, but if we have to cheap out somewhere, this is okay. This will meet the requirements. And so when I see $1,000 plus price tag on these machines with a 90-day warranty, sorry, that was one of my points I wanted to go over. If it has a 90-day warranty, I just kind of cringe. Because already with like these $700, $600 cabs, 90 days is making you cringe a little bit. But when we're starting to get this over $1,000, that's starting to get almost, just in a territory that's, if it's done right, I think it'll sell. I think if these cabs are done in a true pro spirit, they'll do well enough. Yes, there'll be a high profit margin. That's a no-brainer for them. They're going to have to make up the cost of such a small run because I don't think they're going to be selling thousands of these cabs. But what I would like to see is for them to not manufacture this overseas, but instead, maybe, I don't care if it's overseas, but I think price point, it would have to be, different local. But I would almost like to see these get outsourced to local outfits. Not local outfits, but outfits that would show a little bit more love to the cab than just a manufacturing plant. And so, if they do that, if they get, someone who's going to put the quality in, sure, that's going to be awesome. And these cabs will do well for the base that they're going to, which again, I don't think is going to be a huge base. But let's just kind of look at what all comes with these cabs, because I'm talking a lot about it here. So let's go down here. So with its increased size over standard Arcade1Up machines, the Pro Series features a new 19-inch LCD screen. If you're going to do it, just do it. I would have rather have seen them maybe go up. I get, standard, so never mind. We'll be okay with 19-inch. 19-inch is fine. I would want bigger, but that's for a purist who is probably going, 19-inch is probably going more towards their... I would have still went with like 22 inches or something, 21. Whatever the old 5:4 ratio would have been. Anyway, with stunning vibrancy, contrast, and viewing angles, so hopefully this will be a better screen. LCD, but I'm hoping, we'll get maybe HDMI input here. Just, an overall more quality screen. Upgraded speakers, that's one of those areas where I think spec-wise, they'll be upgraded. I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time on the actual sound quality. I don't know how much they can spend on the sound quality due to it being a ROM. So I'm not 100% sure how well the upgraded speakers are going to actually pan out. My hope is they'll pan out well, and my hope is they'll build some bass into them. or they'll get some with some bass in them. But I have a feeling this is going to be one where on paper they're going to be upgraded, but it's a possibility that it's still going to be subpar. Speaker grills, cool idea. And then upgraded joysticks. I mean, that's going to be the biggest one. I mean, I said I just bought my first 3 Marvel vs. Capcom's, Big Blue, and X-Men, a couple months ago. Actually, just 2 months ago. And the first thing I noticed, and I've never been a control freak, but the first thing I noticed was how bad the sticks and the buttons on these machines were. So for me, I personally feel that this should not be a selling point for the Pro Series. I get that you can, say you have the, I think it's Hap Style, I forget which brand it is, but yeah, this shouldn't have been a huge selling point. You should have already had at least some decent controls, which in my opinion is going to be the main selling point for this, is because the controls on the original machines are so crappy and you have to drop, $50 to $100 to replace the controls. That starts making, these machines a little more attractive if you're already budgeting in the controls into your 3/4 scale purchase. 3D molded coin door, Arcade1Up's pretty gorgeous game machines, get next level aesthetics with the Pro Series. Eye-popping Fox or faux chrome trim. Not sure. Again, I have a feeling this is going to be one where they cheap out. But as long as it's T-molding, that should be okay. We'll see how it goes. And who knows? Maybe they'll do fine on it. I don't want to act like, this is a doomsday. It's just I would not buy a Generation 1. Would not even consider buying a Generation 1 except possibly to do a review on it and build my business. Because I do not see anybody other than an influencer putting that much trust into Arcade1Up, especially with these Generation 1 Pro cabinets. Eye-popping chrome trim, blah, 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 and a cosmetic 3D molded coin door. So this is another one of those things that's, you get the 3D molded coin door, but with these cabs, you're going to get the coin slots that work. They're going to be buttons that you're going to be able to press and, access your player 1 and player 2 start buttons. I hope they do this right. And, because I have seen coin doors with start buttons that look, yes, it is a coin door with functioning buttons. Not exactly the one I wanted. And I've seen others that look beautiful. So I'm hoping that they will go with a classic look on this, just like they did with their the ones they already did. They did a fantastic job on those 3D coin doors. So I'm just hoping that they continue that in these. So I have trust that the 3D molded coin door with the buttons is actually going to look and act pretty cool. And of course, the upgraded light up marquee. As many have said, it's a hit or miss. I wouldn't trust them. I would bet on you're still going to have to, if it's that important to you, you're still going to end up replacing it out. Who knows? I might be wrong, but that's my guess. So it's going to have Wi-Fi. It's going to be 68 inches tall. So huge. I think I've read another influencer said that's about the size of Big Blue, but yet you don't have the same, area up here as you had with Big Blue. So, this is going to be a higher cabinet. You can actually get the guy that stands in all your pictures to stand in front of this one. In fact, did they get him? No. They got someone sitting on a stool. The one cab where you could finally do that, and they don't get him in there. But anyways, so let's kind of take a look at the picture, we're going to hear, 19-inch LCD screen, upgraded liquid carbon clean. Suzo have joysticks and buttons, upgraded speakers and speaker grills, clear deck protector. I'm actually surprised this made it through. The deck protectors are cool. Oh, you know what? It doesn't say lighted, though. So I'm wondering if it'll be lighted. I'm not sure about that. And honestly, on this Pro Series, I would forgo the lighted deck protectors. I think it's, cool, but I think it's also something that could go. If you have to cheap out somewhere, cheap out there. But you do need the deck protector. The molded coin door with light up coin slots, awesome. Metal, okay, it is T-molding. The faux Arcade1Up badge, I don't know what that means. And maybe I'm an idiot there, so please forgive me if I should know what it means, but I don't. Licensed swivel stool with backrest. This is pretty interesting that they decided to. I mean, with as much as people have said, stop giving us stools, I find this move interesting, and really wish that they would just have not done it. I'm okay if they do it and they make it. So here's the deal. If this can be a separate purchase, I'm cool with it. I think they, it's good what they did. What they've added to this stool, let me see if I can find a good picture. Yeah, they've had it now that it can swivel, which is, nice feature. I never really had a problem swiveling on the seats, but it does, help with the artwork. And then they added a back support here. So it's a nice stool. It actually looks like, yeah, and it does have one extra ring, so it might be more stable, down here. But again, I just don't think this should have came with a Pro Series cab. I think this should be an add-on item. And so if it is included, that's kind of, to me, a miss on their part. Because they've already gotten, a lot of people like the risers. There's a few out there that are like, oh, I don't need the riser. And I get it, because it started out not having a riser. And you have this arcade that you're trying to keep all the same height. But for the most part, the riser is something everyone was purchasing anyway. So, I'm glad they're including the riser. The light-up marquees, again, one of those things that, could we live without it? Yeah. But it's still nice. But I think the stools are just something that I'm surprised that they did this, but I don't know yet whether the stool is... Does it say down here? Yeah, no, the stool's included. So I feel they should have kept the stool separate, just like they should have always kept the stool separate, but especially with these Pro Series, knowing that price point that they're going to have to meet, I don't know. I just feel they should have left it out and maybe saved us $50. And then this anti-fatigue mat, which I actually think is a cool idea. I think that should become the new standard with cabinets. Yeah, you can buy a stool if you want, but these anti-fatigue mats, they can't cost, but what, couple bucks to produce, and having the artwork and having a place to stand. To me, that just is more of a item that I could see included as like an added benefit, but it's not going to increase my cost by a lot. So I get they're trying to build in as much profit margin as they can, so that's why we're getting all these things bundled together. But personally, the stool, I just, and I even like their stools. But at some point, you're just going to get sick of having a whole crap load of stools. So again, I wish they would have, gotten rid of this and just kept that. Anti-fatigue mat, we just talked about, which is cool, and a licensed tin sign. I mean, I can't remember if this is I believe this has been done with another cab. Tron? Yeah, I think Tron had the licensed tin sign. It's kind of cool. I like it. I'm sure it's not adding a huge difference to the price that I'm paying, so it's a nice little add-on. So anyways, this is the Killer Instinct Pro Cabinet. A lot of people are surprised why now? You just released the Killer Instinct 3/4 scale a little bit. Why would you now announce this? Those people are going to be ticked. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of people saying I want to cancel my order and get this, so I may be wrong. But to me, the Pro Series is going to be a whole different fan base than the 3/4 scales. And what I think we'll see is, for the cabs you like, so there'll be the rich people. I shouldn't say the rich people, but the people that have $1,000 to spend on every cab who will just automatically convert over to the Pro Series. And then I feel there's going to be another group where the Pro Series, you will mix and match a little bit. Like the Pro Series will be your highlight cabinets, the ones that you really loved as a kid or that you just really want to have, a nice full-scale version of. And then the other cabs that, I like them, and I buy a lot of Arcade1Up stuff, so I got to have it. So I think there'll be a little bit of a mix and match. And then I think there will be just ones who don't, say this is too rich for my blood. I'm out of the Pro line. But I do feel I don't see it being that big of a deal that they came out with this right around the corner. Thankfully, they did it in time that ones can, cancel their pre-order. But also I understand that's going to kill retail stores because they're going to have to deal with the pain of dealing with all these canceled pre-orders. But I also think that they're not going to have a problem eventually getting rid of these cabs. Knowing how much these can be discounted, I don't think they're going to have a problem offering the cabs for the canceled pre-orders. But I also think that this cab is going to come in, I'm saying $1,100. I think we're going to see, the single-player cabs coming in at $1,000, the two-player cabs coming in at $1,100, and then special cabinets, maybe a four-player cabinet, or some of the special coming in at the $1,200. But I'm going to call $1,100 on this one. And when you're looking, $600, $1,100, you gotta really, really want a killer instant cab to basically double that price point to get this Pro Series, which may not match your already existing arcade. That you already have 3/4 scale, so it may stick out. Now, I know a lot of us have multi-cades as well, so we're not all, or not even multi-cades, but we may have a real cabinet or things like that. So that's maybe not a huge deal. But I feel like there's a lot of people who will be mad. But I'm curious how many of those people that say, I want to cancel my pre-order now, would actually jump the gun and do it. How many are all this sucks, but I'm not paying extra $500, I'll be happy with my $600 cab? And how many are actually being inconvenienced, or how many would actually go for the $1,100 cab, especially this being a Gen 1? To me, influencers are going to be the best customers. Get these out, see how they're doing. And, again, those who have the money to spare, and some hardcore fans. Some hardcore fans are going to go for this, but I still don't think it's going to hurt the sales on the other one. And then another reason why I feel that this decision was made was, Killer Instinct is not a title like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. But has online play. But so they know they're not going to have as many cabinets out there as they would for Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. Especially right now with Big Blue, which has been pretty good. You can jump in almost at any time and find a match. But the Killer Instinct user base is not going to be that large. So there is going to... My prediction is there will be a tough time finding people to play with online. And then, with a Pro Series, again, I would be surprised if more than 500 of these get built. And so that's in the first run. And maybe I'm way off on this. I'm not, I don't have the degrees or credentials to back this up. But I'd be surprised if over 500 were made. And so with that, if they push out a brand new cabinet with online play, but it's only going to 500 people, that's going to instantly be what the heck? I can't ever find anybody to play with. It's going to be an instant bad review for at least that selling point of the cabinet. And so what I think they did here is they said, okay, well, we already had this situation that we knew might exist, where we might have limited players here, and we don't want to release a Pro Series cab with, nobody to play with. So let's just take these two, slam them together, and now we can have... hey, you need in here? I don't know what's going on there. So you can just take these two, get the player bases together, and perhaps it'll lead to some successful online play. But I really think there was no way they were going to release a Pro cabinet with online play without an already existing title that had online play. So I believe that was the huge instigator for this. My last, comment on the Pro line is, and what would be a huge selling point for me is if they up that warranty. 90 days for a $1,000 plus machine. I mean, you got to be crazy, and I know some of you I'm calling crazy right now, but it really is. But if they would up that warranty to 2 years, 3 years, that warranty speaks to people, especially with these machines. And so if they, that to me is, I mean, we already pay, $100 at Sam's Club, for an extra couple years of warranty. Not everyone does, but it's a pretty big thing. So I would think that if they offer an extended warranty on this, that might be a selling point. That might convert some people over. And so we'll see. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I got a little winded in this video. So, but not like many people are going to watch it anyway. But, if you have any thoughts on what I said or actually just watch the video, please just give it a like and possibly subscribe and, comment with more. I just wanted to start a discussion here of the points that I, found interesting from these, not leaks, these official postings on their website. So anyway, again, if you like the video, subscribe. I might do a few more of these depending on if, 10 people watch it or not. And, all right, y'all have a good night. Doo-doo-doo.